done any investigation of higher education and the, like who's on the board, these higher education boards, and the salaries of the heads of our university systems and stuff? Because I mean, the whole world has flipped from when I was a college student and what presidents of universities made, adjusting for inflation and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. They're all acting like they're a bunch of Republican CEO heads, and they all say they're not using public money. But if I, as a private person, gave money to USF, just as an example, yeah, I would expect that money would go to benefit the students, not to pay for high prices for CEOs who can then give back $1 million to a student foundation in their name. I mean, it's just totally ridiculous. And I'm seeing all these things like elected officials having libraries at colleges. And it's just, or they're teaching a class and they're getting $80,000 and yeah, they're barely showing up. Are you doing anything
let's
there?
talk about that. So the good news is there's an app for that. It's called FL Salaries, and it's free. You can download it right now on your phone and see the salary of every single university professional in our 11 and soon to be 12 public universities in Florida. It'll tell you their name, it'll tell you their job description, it'll tell you how much money they're paid. The developer of that app, he's out of Tallahassee. He teaches a mobile app development course at Florida State. His name is Varvid Basiri. We're working with him because we think there should be an app for a little bit of everything in the government. The government information that should be public information. Disclosure is the key. You can now look up any salary. I think when Governor Scott created a website, Florida Has the Right to Know. You can look up just about every public sector salary and pension in Florida. So that information is there, and I think we've made some gains for disclosure, big gains in that area. There is some risk there because we're losing a lot of talent because that information is out there, and that's something we have to be cautious of. Because here's how it works. If you work at a university and you want a grant, say you make $100,000 a year and the grant's for $10 million, and that app's out there, guess what? University of North Carolina is calling, California is calling, and they're going to offer you $200,000 to get that $10 million grant because the money follows the person. So we have to always balance having open government and being competitive. Even with how we do economic development, we're not trying to meddle in the middle of the deals. We don't need to know how the deals come together, but once they sign a contract and put us on the hook for taxpayer money, millions of dollars in a lot of these cases, we need to know, let's put the contract online within 48 hours.
Before we take the next question, I just want to take a second to point out that we do have some elected officials with us in the audience tonight. We have Dan's mom, who is a Pinellas County school board member. Pinellas County School Board member Linda Lerner. Pinellas County Commissioner Neil Brickfield. And we have a former elected official, St. Pete City Council member Renee Flowers. Linda.
Thank you. Dan, I have a thought. It's not a question, I just a lot of thoughts on one of the reasons that I believe that the situation has deteriorated the way it is, because in the most recently published Civic Health Index, Florida rates 47th in the nation of people who even care about what's going on, or even think more, it's more troubling that it matters, that what they think matters. It seems to me that that's the underlying issue that needs to be addressed, and I'm curious about your thoughts.
Yeah.
Where you're saying on that.
Dan, can you restate the question in case people didn't hear?
Sure. Florida ranks near the bottom of a ranking about, is it Civic Health Index, basically indicating that we don't care, that the public in Florida is not engaged and interested in civic government issues. That is a challenge. I mean, I'm also bothered by the fact that the Yankees are the most popular team in Florida. As a Rays fan from the beginning, since '98. But, you know, Florida matters, and you know, we love Florida, and you know, people are going to come here from all around the world. That's always going to happen, but people are here because we love Florida, and we have to get engaged. Our government also has to give us the tools to get engaged. They have to engage with us. It can't just be a one-way conversation where they push things out and expect us to show up in Tallahassee. We need to have two-way communication, and now there's no excuse for it not to happen. There's no excuse for every government entity not to, for free, go, you know, create a Google Calendar so we can follow when they're meeting, post their agendas on Twitter and Facebook and websites. You know, government documents, when they're created, let's put it on Scrib. I mean, the technology is there. This will be a cost savings if we put more information about government business online. So let me just step back for a second. So the topic tonight is the corrupting influence of money in politics. I think that's the defining issue of our time. And let me just share a little bit of what we see in Tallahassee. Take some questions maybe down this road as well. We have about a $70 billion state budget, and about $51 billion of that budget goes to contracts, to vendors. So you have about 2,000 lobbyists that are jockeying for a share of that money every year. They made record dollar figures this year, about $60 million during the 60-day legislative session for our lobbying industry. So our lobbying industry made about $1 million a day during the legislative session. Congress discloses more about congressional lobbyists than Florida does. If you're a lobbyist before Congress, you have to file who's paying you, what bills you're lobbying on, who you're meeting with, what agencies. You have to put that information online so the public can find out what's going on, because money's definitely influencing the process. We need to know what's happening with it. You see the agenda being set every year with these issues that come out of the blue. And why did PIP insurance become the issue of the day, or gaming, or any of these issues? It's because of the amount of money being spent on lobbying and campaigns. $3 to $9 million is in taxpayer-funded lobbying. We're basically, our money is being spent for politicians to lobby politicians. I don't know if that's the highest and best use of our tax dollars. That's something that I've heard good arguments for it, but I'm not sure that's the best thing. I think we have, you know, our cities and counties and school boards have their own associations and armies of lobbyists in Tallahassee. They have in-house lobbyists. We have public sector unions that represent local government interests. Often, I don't know that we have to have taxpayer-funded lobbying contracts on top of that. Let me stop there and take another question. We'll fill in more.
Lou.
I do, man. Hey, going back, trying to wrap my head around Florida being the most corrupt entity in the country, and is that more a result of the recent focus on it and some of the convictions, or was that determination made before, and that's what's caused more of the focus and convictions?
That's a good point. You know, we have from 2000 to 2010 more federal public corruption convictions than any other state, and from 1999 to 2010, that's the most current year of data from the U.S. Department of Justice. You know, Florida led the country 5 times. Texas and California came close with 3 times each, but clearly Florida's way ahead of our competitors in corruption. That's something we really want to be known for. And we have a large population. We're about to be the 3rd largest state, 19 million people. We have a lot more elected officials than other states. So our size certainly has an impact. Our law enforcement in the state, you know, they could just be doing a better job than law enforcement in any other state. You know, that could be the reason. But what concerns me is our state ethics law enforcement officers have no power to investigate on their own. Our state ethics commission, when the staff of the ethics commission and the ethics commissioners themselves, you know, watch 10 News or read the Tampa Bay Times or Tampa Tribune and see clearly in the paper an ethics violation, they can't begin an investigation. Now imagine that. Imagine if St. Pete police saw a crime in progress and they couldn't investigate or pursue the suspect. That's how we do ethics law enforcement right now, Florida.
Jim.
Danny, your mom's going to get embarrassed here. You're talking to people in this room who truly care about our community and the state. Yet when I talk to state legislators and local elected officials, they often say, if you look at Florida Polytech and also at Sam's Club up the street, that before they get to have their input